Daniel got back from his business trip late, the kind of late that feels like the world is asleep. He'd been rattling around in planes and cars all day, and only one thought kept him going. Wrapping his arms around his wife. God had missed her. There was no happiness like coming home to the woman you love. Their son was away at summer camp. The house was still, filled with that familiar, comforting scent. He crept into the bedroom, not wanting to turn on the light and wake her. A warm feminine shape was curled under the comforter. A slow smile spread across his face. He slid in behind her, molded his body against hers, and breathed in the sweet, familiar scent of her shampoo. She didn't resist, only murmured something drowsy and pressed herself back against him. Daniel's smile widened. He thought it was his Chloe. But what if the woman in your arms isn't the one you've been dreaming of? The silence was shattered a few minutes later by a voice that was decidedly not his wife's. I've been wondering when this would finally happen. He jerked back as if burned, fumbling for the lamp. The light clicked on, illuminating Natasha, his wife's younger sister, lying in his bed with a calm, knowing smile. She was wearing Chloe's nightshirt. What the hell are you doing here? Daniel demanded, his heart hammering against his ribs. Where's Chloe? Natasha sat up, smoothing her hair. There was an emergency at the hospital, a last-minute night shift. I was visiting, we had some wine and, well, you see how it is. She shrugged, a sly glint in her eye. Why are you in our bed? What's the big deal? Chloe and I shared a bed our whole lives. She offered. You're the one who came in and didn't bother to check. Her smile turned into a smirk. Not that I was complaining. Daniel was reeling. The intimate moment had just shared. The tenderness had poured into what he thought was a reunion with his wife. It was all a lie. This was a mistake, he whispered, the words tasting like ash. Was it? Natasha rose and moved closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Are you sure? Because I'm not. I've wanted you for a long time, Daniel. You know that. She placed a hand on his chest. I won't say a word. Just be with me sometimes. No strings. Like tonight. He stood frozen, a war raging inside him. Say yes and he'd be stepping into a trap. Say no and he might lose everything in the explosion. If Chloe finds out, she won't. Don't disappoint me, Dan. I'm alone because of you. You've always been the one for me. He wanted to walk away, to erase the last 10 minutes from existence. But his feet didn't move toward the door. They carried him back to the bed. From that morning on, Daniel lived a double life. By day, he was the devoted husband and father. By night, he was a man consumed by secret phone calls, quick stops at Natasha's apartment, her whispers in the dark, and a guilt that ate him alive from the inside out. Natasha was a ghost, no hints, no slips. Chloe remained blissfully, painfully unaware, trusting them both implicitly, which only made the betrayal cut deeper. Returning from another trip, Daniel found himself dialing Natasha's number instead of his wife's. She answered on the first ring, as if she'd been waiting. I made your favorite. Pork chops, she said, her voice casual. As if this were the most normal thing in the world. He went. He ate. Natasha padded around her apartment barefoot, a blanket draped over her shoulders, speaking in hushed tones as if afraid to break the fragile illusion they'd built. It feels right with you, she confessed one evening. Not like something forbidden. Like something that was always supposed to be. He didn't know how to answer. Had started to wonder the same thing himself. Was Chloe just habit? Was Natasha the real thing? But then he'd come home to Chloe's loving eyes and his son's joyful hug, and his world would tilt back on its axis, leaving him dizzy with confusion. One day, Chloe looked up from her tea and said, Have you noticed Natasha lately? She's glowing. Daniel froze. No, I hadn't. Yeah, she seems different. Happier, calmer. I'm glad for her. She deserves to be happy. His heart clenched. It was the moment he almost confessed. But the sheer trust in Chloe's eyes made him swallow the words once more. The final turning point came after one of their clandestine meetings. Natasha, softly tracing patterns on his arm, said, Daniel, I'm pregnant. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. Actually, it's twins. Time stopped. He stared at her, truly seeing her for the first time. She said it with a quiet joy. A woman utterly confident that this was a good thing, that he was hers. You're serious? Absolutely. You're mine forever now, right? He didn't answer. The fantasy had just become a terrifying reality. The carefully constructed walls between his two lives began to crumble on an ordinary night. Chloe was on duty. Natasha, well into her pregnancy, was on bed rest in the very same hospital. Daniel never imagined the worlds would collide so perfectly. But they did. Restless, Chloe decided to take a walk through the quiet hallways. As she passed the on-call room, she heard voices. One was painfully familiar. Jake, her ex-fiancé. The other was Natasha. Curiosity overpowered her. She cracked the door open and froze. Natasha was in a chair. Jake was beside her, holding her hand, whispering something that made Natasha smile. A smile that was too intimate, too knowing. Chloe recoiled, pulling out her phone. One photo. One short, silent video that screamed louder than any words. Back in an empty patient room, she stared at the screen, then sent the video to Daniel. The caption was simple. Look how cozy your girlfriend is. Congratulations. On the other end, Daniel nearly dropped his phone. He watched it 3 times. He knew that room. He recognized Jake. And he knew the game was over. Was she punishing him? Or had she set him up all along? The next morning, Chloe came home. She was calm. Too calm. Daniel met her at the door. Well, Daniel, she said, her voice icy, looking directly through him. Are you happy now? He wanted to explain, to beg, to ask how she knew. But Chloe just gave him a brittle smile. You know what the worst part is? I always trusted you. That's what hurts the most. She walked past him, not waiting for a reply. A single clear thought echoed in Daniel's mind. You lost. Now you pay. Chloe left. She packed up their son, left the keys on the entry table, and never looked back. Daniel sat in the kitchen of the empty house, his hands shaking. He wanted a redo, but he knew the final period had been placed in the story. And he wasn't the one who placed it. Days later, he went to see Natasha. She greeted him with a triumphant smile. So you're completely mine now. He was silent. I told you, Dan. She wasn't the one. She didn't appreciate you. I've always waited for you. Now everything will be different. He looked at her, not with the eyes of a man seduced, but with the eyes of a man who had lost everything. Natasha, he said quietly, tell me the truth. Did you know Chloe would see you with Jake? She froze for a second, then gave a faint, chilling smile. What do you think? You don't think I just happened to be in that room? Jake's not an idiot. He figured it out pretty quick. Daniel pulled away, his heart shattering. It was all a game. The love, the tears, the pregnancy. You used me, Natasha? No, she said calmly. I just took what was mine. Everything you thought was an accident was destiny to me. I'm leaving. Where? She frowned, her confidence wavering. Omaha. The company has a plant there. I'll be a nobody. Maybe it'll give me a chance to start over. And the babies? If they're really mine, I'll be there for them. But there is no you and me. We're done. Natasha stood pale, her hands trembling as Daniel walked out. He didn't look back. For the first time, he was making a real choice. 3 months passed. He rented a small apartment in Omaha, worked, spoke to no one. One evening, there was a knock at the door. He opened it to find Chloe standing there with their son. Hi, she said softly. We don't have anywhere else to go. Can we come in? He was speechless, but he silently nodded. And in that moment he understood. Sometimes the people who come back aren't the ones you called for, but the ones you never deserved. Yet they come anyway. Love isn't just about passion and choices. It's about forgiveness, and about those who return when you are utterly, completely lost.